bought some ice cream, but it's still frozen, so that's good. I thought it was going to be running. Okay, now let's see if my car will start. I just went out to Freddy's, and I still haven't made it out to Helping Hands yet. My car wouldn't start after my laundry and shower. Okay, let's try it. Oh, it's not going to work today. I wonder what's wrong.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. They're pretty good.
I liked it.
Not as much as the ones I usually get.
Well, yeah, I got a mocha one today. I haven't tried it yet.
I got a question for you. I know you were busy today, and so was I. But is there a time I might be able to sit down with you for? It'll probably take only about 20 to 30 minutes to go through the autism stuff. Yeah?
Yeah, because I talked to get that Harold Center today when I showered and moved on. So.
I brought 3 bags of garbage down from the mountains. I thought I stuffed 7 of them in there. So there's 3 of them just sitting there in the mountains waiting for me to get them. But I'll make sure I stay in town tonight. That way I don't miss you. Because like I said, I'm a vulnerable adult.
I won't be here on Thursday until... I won't be probably here on Thursday because I charged my phone at Harold Center. And he said it's lunch at there. So then I go probably over to the Dixie Park.
All right. Well, I'll make sure I'm here tomorrow then.
Okay, great.
You rock. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll see you then.
All right, so when I meet a new person, there's stuff I have to check out. A lot of times when I tell people stuff, they'll take it real personal. And a lot of times I'm not even talking to them about something that they did. I'm talking to them about the crimes that have been committed against me. And then all of a sudden they start getting butthurt like I'm challenging their greatness. Definitely not the case. So a lot of times when I try to tell people about autism, first thing they do, and she did the same thing, of course, most people do, is they tell me they know somebody who's autistic. Well, good, but I'm not that person, and that doesn't tell me that you understand autism. That just tells me that you know someone. Knowing somebody in a wheelchair is not the same as understanding someone in a wheelchair. If you've got somebody who's a quadriplegic and you're going to talk about the problems that your friend who's a paraplegic has, keep in mind that your friend who's a paraplegic is able to do a lot of things that that other person can't. Also, just because one person is unable to doesn't mean that both of them are unable to. Being in a wheelchair just denotes that somebody is in a wheelchair. It doesn't even denote that they're disabled. But it has that connotation to it. I knew a guy on Pearl Street. He borrowed another homeless guy, of course, borrowed a guy's wheelchair to go wheeling down Pearl Street. The guy who owned the wheelchair was napping on the courthouse lawn, and he didn't mind. It was permission, it was consensual. But that guy with no messed up legs, no messed up arms, just fucking around with the wheelchair, and learned how to do a wheelie too, which was pretty cool. But the thing is, people were giving him money because they thought he was disabled. They just assumed. They didn't realize, first of all, that wasn't his wheelchair. And second of all, the guy who was using the wheelchair wasn't disabled. He was just fucking around. But when you walk up to somebody and you offer them $20, yeah, who's going to turn that down? Oddly enough, a lot of people out here on the streets will turn you down. There's a lot of people out here on the streets that refuse my money. They say that they shouldn't have to get paid to do the right thing. At the same time, it does come down to money, because later on, when they still haven't done this and still haven't done that, and they're telling me it's because they don't have any money. How many people did that to me? Promised me they would help me, but wouldn't take my money. It was a matter of pride. They didn't care about me. They cared about their pride. Oh, I can't accept that money because it's a matter of pride. Oh, Sean, I couldn't do that to you. It's a matter of pride. Well, you know what? I'd rather have you take my money so that you can speak up now when it makes a difference, rather than have you be prideful. I'm willing to pay for the help that I need. But the thing is, I've paid out so much for that help, for people not to provide that help, knowing full well that that help is what I'm paying for, and knowing full well that rather than helping me how I need, they're telling me to do things that I've already done. I've already done those things. Telling me to do it again is not going to make it so that I have a better income or a better outcome. The only thing that does that is if somebody who cares about you and thinks this is fucking disgusting actually speaks up. My family didn't give a fuck about Clearview. Clearview Behavioral Health had to literally kill people and harm children before anybody did a goddamn thing about them. Whereas I just, to this day, get treated like I'm a nut. Oh, Clearview wouldn't do that. Sean, you're making it up. Really? Because Clearview is shut down for doing that. They were reopened under a different name. Johnstown Behavioral Health. And guess what? They're getting shut down again for doing the same shit. But my friends and family just want to argue. They just want to be Debbie Downers and tell me that nothing will work, nothing will work, nothing will work. How about we try following the law? How about we follow the rules and guidelines that are set up to protect specifically people like me and you? If you end up disabled, it's just as much of a felony to do these things to you as it is to do it to me. But you don't care that people are doing it to me, which means that it's more likely that people will do it to you. If you don't understand why that is, it's not karma. It's plain and simple ridicule. It's very human motivations. It's not some Illuminati thing. Your daddy doesn't rape you because of the Illuminati. Your daddy doesn't rape you for anything of that sort. Your daddy rapes you because he's a fucking alcoholic who doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself and his own instant gratification. That police officer that shot your autistic son in the head, he didn't do it because your son deserved it for being mentally ill. He did it because he knew for certain he was going to get away with it. Why were the cops so brazen about harming Samuel Leon Lawrence IV the way that they did? Because this is their standard MO nationwide for the homeless. Police nationwide are shitty to the homeless. People in houses don't want their resources going to homeless people. No, they want those resources wasted so those homeless people will be harmed and have to go to prison or jail for being homeless. You type up on Google and ask if it's homeless to be, or if it's illegal to be homeless in Oregon. Google will lie to you and tell you no. It's not homelessness that's illegal, it's every aspect thereof. The situations that you are forced into when you are homeless, the places that you have available to use the bathroom. A lot of people don't want turds on the side of their buildings, and they don't want people to have to walk through a urine stain to get to the fucking front door of their business establishment. Well, guess what, folks? None of the people out here pissing on your fucking door want to be out there pissing on your door. The ones who do want to be out there pissing on your door, who are doing it out of malice, maybe you should ask why they hold malice. What did you do to a homeless person that you wouldn't have done to someone in a house? And if you treat somebody in a house like that, that just makes you one of the most disgusting people on the planet, don't it? No, it's more disgusting to do it to a homeless person. Because a homeless person is a lot more vulnerable, and you fucking know it. That's why when your daddy rapes you, you go out and take it out on a homeless man. You still have to live with your dad. Just like many of these people who claimed to be my friends, claimed they were going to come forward, claimed they were going to speak up, they still have to live in that town with my predators. Which was a major motivating factor in a lot of them not coming forward. Fuck all of you. You're all cowards. Now when it comes to Susan, that's the lady who was right next to me here, I was going to try to talk to her for just a couple of minutes. But when you got to go, you got to go. And as far as Helping Hands goes, she's trying to get a job there and possibly be able to use that to pay the rent there too. Because it's $400 a month in rent there. But the homeless people have to come up with that. Whereas the homeless don't have to come up with over $100,000 a year. That's over $10,000, almost $10,000 a month at $100,000. That's a lot of fucking money. Let's say it's only half that. $5,000 a month to keep somebody incarcerated. That's fucking insane. You don't have a choice in paying that. You taxpayers are paying for that because you don't want to pay for these people to have housing. And those who do get housing, like me, you just want to pretend like I'm a fucking freeloading goddamn cheapskate who never fucking worked a goddamn day in my life. With Susan, she made a lot of major mistakes that many people make. But some people are receptive to it. And some people are more interested in getting butt hurt. She didn't get butt hurt. Yesterday, one of the mistakes she made was on 3 different occasions when I tried to explain to her about autism, she wanted to tell me about her autistic friend, Bunny. I don't mean like a literal bunny rabbit, just so you know. This is just a pet name or a nickname. Anyway, she wanted to tell me repeatedly yesterday about her autistic friend instead of learning about autism and what the risks are for us, what we have to endure and what we have to deal with. How much more at risk we are than anyone else. So, she set up a time soon, not open-ended, not 6 months down the road, not 10 years down the road, but tomorrow. So I'll make sure that I'm here tomorrow. That way I can teach her some stuff about autism. That way she doesn't make the same mistake with others. Because you guys are just going to keep on doing that. Megan Misigatis wanted me to not talk at all about suicide. Well, that's the thing, is that I should feel comfortable speaking to my advocate about anything. If I'm being abused, and I need my advocate to understand that I am being abused to the point that I want my life to end, that person needs to stop and listen to what I'm telling them, not get butthurt because I didn't use the right words that she wanted to hear at that particular goddamn moment. Just because you don't want to fucking hear it doesn't mean that I don't have the right to say it. And just because you don't want to hear it doesn't mean that it's wrong for me to say it. When it comes to suicide, yes, talk about it. Don't punish the victim for coming forward. Also, when somebody is trying to tell you about abuse they're enduring, don't try to fucking pawn them off to do something else or go to someone else. That's evil. That's mean-hearted. Megan Missigatis wanted to tell me that she's had a few friends of hers that committed suicide. And that's why she doesn't want to hear it. Well, guess what? They probably committed suicide because she didn't want to fucking hear it. Now, Susan, she's willing to learn. That's the thing with many of these autism places. They automatically treat us like we're retarded. It's because many of them have retarded family members. By that, what I mean is that obviously we're being projected as retards. The people in our families who are supposed to advocate for us are too busy treating us like retards and taking advantage of the fact that many people just assume that we're retards. Take your tax dollars. The people most likely to take advantage of us are our own families. The people most likely to neglect us are also our own families. Apparently, I am lovely. It says, "You are lovely," written across the front of that. The folks at the Starbucks here, a lot of them volunteer at one of the churches here. They also write down on all the little sleeves they put on the coffees a bunch of really nice, sweet little sayings. And sometimes it's at random, and sometimes it's one of the people that I know from the church, and they'll write something special for me, which is sweet. When it comes to autism, you need to stop harming us until we have a fucking meltdown. Because it's a meltdown over abuse. Forcing someone into an abusive situation and expecting them to have no response to it whatsoever is completely fucked. You get to hear how Leslie Snell, all she had to do was fucking crocodile tear for a couple of seconds, and that was good enough to destroy my life. I had to try to turn in Scott DaCosta to Scott DaCosta. I had to try to turn in Leslie Snell to Leslie Snell. It's like making a girl turn in the fact that her dad is raping her to her dad and hope that her dad is going to do something about it. Going to our predators and asking our predators to stop only results in them taking advantage of the situation and harming us and playing victim. Natalie Bollinger didn't need to do the things that she did. She just didn't care about the consequences for others. She didn't even stop to think about the consequences for me. What she cared about was that she was embarrassed, the same as Maddie Boa. The same as Joanna Taylor Smith. There were many people involved in the situation before Natalie was killed, but none of them gave a fuck. It was about what they wanted and right when they wanted it. And what they had to say and how they feel. How many of them actually took the time to listen, to understand? Not a single one. There's a few recordings where I listened to it, and you can listen to them too, where people seem like they were listening. Really did seem like they were listening, and then at the end of it, they showed they absolutely weren't listening by making the same suggestions. A disabled and at-risk adult cannot turn in anything alone. We will get blown off, especially if we're male, especially if we're homeless. A lot of the women out here will admit how much worse it is for men. A lot of the women out here on the streets will admit how much they depend on men. A lot of the women I know in houses only have what they have because they depended on men and took advantage of men. The ones in houses tend to say things like, oh, I did it all myself. One of the women out here in Tillamook ended up homeless because her husband died. Her life was wonderful before that. Well, according to her, her husband loved her. She was a very independent woman. And she did her own thing, and her husband let her do her own thing. And she loved her husband. And he had a good job, and he had a good house. He had good insurance, so when he died, she got paid. She also inherited a bunch of debt. He was the one working, and she wasn't. She did get a couple of small-time jobs just to try to fill some space and try to make some friends. Yeah, isn't that strange? Guys don't usually go get a job to make friends. Anyway, am I talking trash on this woman? No. She explained it like this. You know what? I didn't realize how important he was until he was gone. I didn't realize how much he actually did until he was gone. I didn't realize I couldn't wipe my own... This is how she put it. I didn't realize that I couldn't wipe my own ass until he wasn't there to wipe my ass. Which is a metaphor that's used by a lot of street people. There's a lot of people out here on the streets that say, you know what? I thought I knew how to take care of myself. Turns out all I knew how to do was go to work and pay bills. And ended up not working and didn't pay my bills. Now, Susan, with Susan, one of the mistakes that she makes is talking about her. Now, when it comes to having a conversation, yeah, that is important. It's important both people get a say. But also, when it comes to somebody who's being victimized, instead of dictating what they can and cannot tell you, you should listen intently so you know what's going on. Just because you don't think something is important, just understand that the person who is telling you for a reason. And if they're telling you, it's because it is important. Just because you don't want to hear it doesn't mean that it's not important either. Just because your experience was different than theirs doesn't mean that their experience doesn't matter. And when you make it about your experience, when they're trying to turn in their predators and they need help doing it, you are taking away from the victim and what they are going through. And you are contributing to the harm that will eventually push them to commit suicide. And then you won't want to hear it. You're sad after the fact, but what about during the act? A lot of people who I thought were good friends before Natalie was killed. How many of them are going to celebrate when I'm dead? How many of them are angry with me because I showed the truth? A lot of them. They didn't like that I came public with the things that they should have come public with. And they certainly didn't like that I did it with their own voices, their own words. Their own voices and their own words show why it is that I was forced to do things the way that I was. Forced. These people who wanted to blow me off about people threatening to kill me and my friends and family. And people did the same thing to their friends and family. They wanted me to do something about it. Or they wanted to be angry with me because I spoke up about it. My decisions had to be made based on who had time and who was willing to spend it listening. A lot of people, they wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen. They just wanted to type at me over and over. So I tried to schedule a time when I could speak with them, actually call and talk to them. But then they wouldn't do that for 2 to 3 weeks at least. And then they get on and they want to talk about all of the stuff that I'm trying to explain to them. Hey, the stuff you're typing at me is incorrect. It's not the truth. It's not what happened. And if you're going to help me, you need to drop off your stupid assumptions and listen to the person who is fucking there. God damn it. You're not going to learn a goddamn thing about having to live life in a wheelchair by asking a fucking doctor. Unless that doctor is in a goddamn wheelchair. When that person who's in a wheelchair needs that doctor to speak up and come forward. Hey, doc, cops are trying to pretend that I can walk. You been my doctor for how long? Can I walk? You diagnosed me with this back issue. You got the x-rays of this back issue. You can tell that my legs don't work. Right? It's completely different if you're actually in a wheelchair. People don't see your disability, they see your mechanical assistance. And your disability is assumed. Maybe you jumped off a building while drunk and stupid and broke both of your femurs, right? Let's say you broke both your legs and you're in a wheelchair because you broke both your legs. Now say there's a girl you got a crush on and you ask her out and she assumes that because you're in a wheelchair that your penis don't work, and really that's the part that she cares about. Maybe she tells you no. Maybe if she hadn't assumed, she'd have known that you've got a massive Willie Joe Johnson down there in your trousers. And that you're exactly what she was looking for. She just made a bad assumption. But you know what? That assumption screwed you both over, doesn't it? Well, not really. Your legs are going to heal and you're not going to be in that wheelchair forever. But while you're in that wheelchair, you are experiencing what it's like to have to live life in a wheelchair and also the assumptions that go with it. And for the rest of your life, you'll remember those details, unless you're lucky enough to get old timers. And then you can forget about all the shitty things that happen because of people's stupid assumptions. Like the assumption that all autistic people are mentally retarded. It's tough to get past that in a lot of people's minds. I'm glad that Susan's willing to listen rather than, well, 3 times already when I tried to tell her about autism, she wanted to tell me about her friend who's autistic. And I get why. I can understand that. But also, it needs to be understood that I'm not your friend or your assumptions of that friend. I am neither of those things. If your friend's name is Jack, and Jack is autistic, I'm not Jack. I'm not your assumptions of whoever your autistic friend happens to be. You want to assume that your autistic friend doesn't want to shower or doesn't want to take care of themselves or doesn't want to speak. A lot of people that I talk to, when I'm able to get to the bottom of a problem with their autistic child or adult that they weren't able to get to the bottom of, well, there's a reason. I pay attention. I've listened to a lot of parents of autistic children talking to their kids and also forcing their children to do things that are harmful to us. They are harmful to us. When I'm able to get the parents to stop their behaviors, to stop being intentionally antagonistic. Yeah, there's a lot of parents that do that. What they think is that if they antagonize you into a reaction so they can punish you for the reaction, eventually you will learn that reacting to that is going to get you punished. So you're taught not to show any emotions, not to show any reactions, just to take just to take abuse. Some people are not receptive to being corrected when they do something harmful. By corrected, I'm not talking about smacking your kids. I'm talking about when, let's say, for example, let's say you were just raped, because that's the one thing you care about. When it comes to all the abuse that men have to take at between 5 and 35 times as often and as frequently as women, but none of that matters because you only care about rape. And anything that happens to men, you're going to change to make it about rape so that you can tell men to shut up. No, fuck you and fuck rape. As long as crimes committed against men, including murders against us because of women pretending about rape, I think rape should be legal. Do I truly believe that? No, I don't. But as a matter of equality, yes, I do. As long as it is okay for women to lie about a man and have people actually harm him, actually steal from him, actually physically and sexually assault him, because you want to pretend like a man might rape you, then he should be allowed. He should be allowed. If it's okay to assault a man over rumors, it's okay for a man to rape a woman. If it's okay for a woman to rape a man, because it is legal for a woman to rape a man. As far as a woman raping a little boy, that is a slap on the wrist if you're a woman. An average of 8 months. That's what a woman gets for a heinous crime against a child. An average of 8 months. How much more likely are women to be sexual predators against children than men? Especially in positions of power. Women are a lot more likely. A man goes to prison on average for 16 years as an educator if he's busted with porno on the computer or watching porno on the computer. 40 years if he gets busted having sex with a student. 40 years to life, by the way, depending on the state. How about a woman? 8 months. 8 months. Why are women more likely to have sex with your male students? Because the consequences don't exist for them. Don't tell me how much more horrible it is for a woman being in there for 8 months than a man in there for 40 to life. equal crime equal time. Now, if you force somebody to commit a crime back, are they committing a crime? If you pull out a gun and start shooting at somebody and they blow your fucking head off, whose fault is it? Was it your choice for them to blow your fucking head off? No, it wasn't. It was your choice to go there with a fucking loaded firearm and shoot at another fucking person and think there were going to be no goddamn consequences. Natalie Bollinger was fucking stupid and didn't think there would be any consequences. Alicia Bollinger was stupid and didn't think there would be any consequences. And guess what? That's because there were no consequences. Not for them. Only for me, their victim. And if I speak up, I'm magically a horrible rapist because I spoke up about abuse. That's how it has been taken. I say, hey, I'm being harmed, I'm being stalked, I'm being assaulted, and this dumb cunt and her friends wanted to pretend that I was stalking them because of it. I asked for them to stop. Now, how many of these people expect me to stop and listen to how they think and how they feel? Oh, my poor feelers, Sean. Do you stop to think about how it made me feel when you posted my personal business on the internet? First of all, it wasn't your personal business. It was your excuses for not coming forward and telling the truth. Like you should have done from the fucking start, bitch. When it comes to a male who's being abused, that's how you help us. You talk over us and tell us to ignore it. Rape is legal. You have no idea how many men I know who have been sexually assaulted by women. Speaking of, there's several dozen men on my channel who have spoken up about their female predators. There are also several dozen women on my channel speaking about their female predators. Sexual predators, might I add. If your retarded autistic friend Sean comes to you and says, hey, I was sexually assaulted, versus that pretty girlie who's strung out on fucking heroin that you give free drugs sometimes hoping she'll touch your penis, which one are you going to listen to? Which one are you actually going to care about? Will you destroy an innocent retard's life over a popular girl? Yes, you fucking will. The biggest problem there is the insinuation and assumption that I'm retarded. And you show your assumption of my retardation by talking over me like I'm a fucking retard. How many of these people who knew that I was intelligent wanted to play like I was fucking retarded after Natalie died? You goddamn right I speak up, you cowardly fucks. Now, thank goodness for Miss Susan. The stuff that she made as a mistake is the same mistakes that everybody makes. Is she willing to learn how harmful it is, or is she going to pull a Megan Messigatus? We don't know, do we? Not until we try. But I'm trying, and she's receptive to it, and that is a good fucking start. If only Megan Messigatus had been more like that. More willing to listen instead of talk over me. More willing to take the time when it needs to be taken instead of setting it off for months and months and months while that person is being victimized. Thank goodness for Miss Susan.